to another FAQ Monday. I'm your host, Fluff. It's a cold brew kind of day. That's what I'm saying. It's not warm right now, hence I know you're gonna say, well, if it's warm, why are you gonna put your bit? Because that's how you all sound like to me. The people who complain. Not your non-complainers. I love you guys. First question. What music do you listen to as a palate cleanser? That's a good question. I mean, really, it kind of changes over time, but if I'm trying to clear my head, honestly, lately, I have stopped listening to a lot of music entirely. I've been actually really getting into like audiobooks, and I've totally skipped over podcasts. As an audio guy, it drives me insane that there isn't some kind of quality control of podcasts. A lot of the podcasts that I used to listen to were good, but the audio quality was total garbage. So I kind of discovered the world of Audible. And after they did a sponsored video on this channel, and I've been listening to a lot of books as of late. I don't really listen to much music anymore, or new music anymore, for that matter. I've been doing a lot of rock biographies, so like the Sammy Hagar book, Duff McKagan's book, Van Halen book that their manager wrote. That's what I do to kind of clear my mental palette for music. And if I want to get in a creative mode, I want to be inspired, not by music, but by the stories behind some of my favorite music. So, I don't know, I would recommend that. Try not listening to music. Try doing other things, like reading or listening. I don't know if listening counts as reading a book, if I'm listening to a book. But anyway, dive into something, a totally different medium, like books or podcasts, because really they can just totally change your mind and your perspective on your creativity, and I have found it very beneficial myself. Favorite EQ plugins? There are several that I really lean on quite hard. The first and most obvious one for me would be the FabFilter Pro Q3, which is just an insane plugin, and the amount of features and tools that it has make it very, very inexpensive for I think it's $150 or something like that. Small price to pay for Q3. Q3 is a very transparent EQ, and you can have an infinite amount of points to notch out or boost, etc., etc. But my favorite feature that I use it for is if I have multiple instances of it throughout the session, I can then look at the overlap, the EQ overlap, from the others in one EQ, meaning I can pull up the guitar EQ and I can see where it may be clashing with the overheads or the bass guitar, or I can look at the bass guitar and see where its frequencies are clashing with the kick drum, for example, etc., etc. Very, very useful, and you can make each point dynamic, which is incredible as well. Another EQ I really like is the Universal Audio Pultec EQ. Perfect on guitars. The ultimate guitar EQ, in my opinion, is the Pultec EQP1 Legacy, I believe it's called. I use a lot of Universal Audio stuff, but those are the two main EQs I'm using, honestly, 90% of the time. Thoughts on the Ghost Inside comeback show? I love that my dudes in Ghost Inside are back at it. Love those guys. Been a long-time fan of the music. And it made my heart so glad to see them get back up on the stage. I was invited down there to see the show. I couldn't make it. I had some other stuff going on before that show was announced. I had some prior commitments as where I was bummed I didn't get to see it. But man, it looks like you can't even tell they were gone at all. They absolutely killed it. I hope they go on tour. I hope they play some more shows. Their entire story is extremely inspiring. And if you like heavy music, if you like riffs and sing-along stuff, I definitely recommend checking out A Ghost Inside if you are not familiar with their music. Chris and the homies, just they deserve everything that is coming to them. I wish them all the success in the world, and yeah, I can't say enough good things about them. I hope they play more shows though. That would be super, super sick. Do you have favorite riffs for evaluating guitars? That's an interesting question. I mean, I guess we all kind of gravitate towards some kind of familiar riff when playing or trying out or checking out a guitar. I don't know what those would be for me. I mean, for me, I guess, let's see, so it's that song from the Orange video back in the day, the OR 100. That's a riff I play a lot just when checking out stuff, because that will give me an idea of how it chugs. I also really like doing Mastodon's Blood and Thunder on stuff, and I also maybe we'll do a couple of Pennywise riffs. Do a lot of riffs. Maybe I'll play Oblivion, a lot of Mastodon, Pennywise, and my own stuff, all meshed up into one. It's kind of what I do when I'm trying stuff out. That's an interesting question, though. Do you guys use the same riffs when trying stuff out? Do you have some go-to riffs? What are your go-to riffs when you're checking out a new guitar or amp? I would love to know what you guys are playing. Why do you play 7-string guitars? The question does come up from time to time of why I don't play 7-string guitars. I mean, I have a baritone. I really enjoy baritone guitars, but really the best way I can sum it up is the 7-string guitars give me the same feeling that you get when you're driving someone else's car. Meaning, you can do it and you know how to steer, and you know how to work the pedals, and you know how to shift, and you know kind of how to work the radio, but it's not really the most comfortable thing in the world, and my brain just will not accept that 7th string. Oddly, I feel more comfortable on an 8-string than I do a 7-string. I think 7-string for me is just a weird, it's a gray area. It's too much of a middle ground for me, I guess. I don't know. But 7-strings really just, my brain just kind of goes, that's what you want, do it. You know what I mean? I don't know if that makes any sense, but 6-string is just, 6-string is comfortable. I like 6-string. I like detuning a 6-string. I love a baritone 6-string. 7-string, not so much. Also, the neck width most of the time is a little uncomfortable for me as well, because I am a thumb over the neck kind of guy, whether I realize it or not. I don't know how much of a factor that has in wanting to play a 7-string, but yeah, I don't know. It's just 7-strings are just simply not for me. Do you dig any instrumental music? I do. I really love instrumental music, and oddly enough, I was really opposed to instrumental music when I was younger. I distinctly remember some friends showing me some instrumental stuff. I don't even remember what it was, and I scoffed at the idea of no lyrics. And I laugh at that now, how, ridiculous I was and how stuck to my beliefs I was when I was 20 years old. Shocking, right? But as I got older, I really started to appreciate instrumental music. And the real epiphany for me was Cloud Kicker back in like 2010 when Ben started releasing stuff. It blew my mind and opened up a whole new door to what I thought music could be. Cloud Kicker, If These Trees Could Talk, Explosions in the Sky, Russian Circles, Intervals. I know those things aren't really connected. I mean, Intervals is kind of the odd man out as far as that group goes. Pliny, I love all of that stuff. It's brain candy for me. But I really love the droney, super heavy, detuned, more ambient kind of stuff. But yeah, instrumental music, I really appreciate it, and I really kick myself for not being more open to it when I was a younger person. What are some of your favorite punk bands? All the punk bands that I like are honestly pretty dated now, but a lot of them are still around. Good Riddance, Bigwig, Pennywise, Lagwagon, a lot of the 90s Fat Wreck, Epitaph bands I just loved. 88 Fingers Louie. I could go on and on and on. Cigar's back now, and they're my homies. They're down in Portland. Definitely check out Cigar if you haven't heard of them. A lot of this Theologian bands, 98 Mute. Honestly, I could go on and on and on, and I do still listen to that stuff, and I just love it. They really captured a moment in time for me. But if you haven't heard any of those bands, definitely check them out, because it'll be worth your while. And now, Fluff reads a tweet. Being in a van with no AC is pretty miserable when it's 107 out. Yes, it was. My suggestion to you this week is to check out the new Korn single, Cold. Korn is getting ready to release a new full length, and every song they put out is just the heaviest thing ever. And it's so good, and it sounds so good because it was mixed by Josh Wilbur, for one. But I really enjoyed this song. It's just really aggressive, really heavy, really nasty. And yeah, it's a classic return to form for Korn as far as I'm concerned. All applicable links down below in the description. You have been wonderful. I have been Fluff. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.